Is that really what Twitch is telling you, Mick? Hopefully my levels and all that are okay. I've had a massive change in what I'm using, and today I'm down to just 2 cameras. I got an ultra wide, which is good for the day to day, but it meant that I had to reposition my face cam from my left to my right, and it's a bit weird. I've always known for the last 5 years or whatever, however long my stream has been around, the face cam has always been to my left. So, but there's just no other way now. So I got a 34-inch. What is it? 21:9? Is that the ratio? A Zeus one. Hey Paul, 144 hertz, I think. And it's replacing 2 old Dell 16:10 aspect ratio. I guess you would call it 1080p, but it's actually 1920 by 1200 monitors, which does give me a little bit of extra space on my desk, which I desperately need. But I feel like first impressions are it's just not as smooth for streaming purposes. Let's see. I also relocated this camera. I don't know if that's going to work out, but we'll see. So before I ramble on for probably way too long, the rig that's on the table today, on the desk today, is a B650E Tachyon with the latest. Is it called the? Oh God, what's the BIOS called? It has a D at the end. Is that good enough? With the latest Agisa, whatever way it's called. Let's load up the mainboard tab here. Okay, so F8D. So F8C is Agisa mentioned here? No, it's not. F8C was the Agisa that like totally unlocked memory frequency on AM5, and D is another improvement on that. So that's what I've got, and I do still have 35 liters of LN2 here, which I want to use for globals because globals have changed this week. But the one thing about this is they're keeping the Tachyon up to date. Yeah, I think this is GISA 1.0.0.7C, so the even newer one. I could be wrong. Which only came out beginning of September. Cheers, by the way. I'm drinking a Wild Yak, famous Aussie beer. So yes, the only thing is that I was going to mention is I should probably pump up VSOC LLC because I've got 1.3 set in BIOS. That's the max the BIOS will allow because it's a retail BIOS. I'm hoping that Gigabyte will give me an LN2 BIOS, because what I hear from other AM5 cold benchers is there's not much you can do about this cold bug, but one of the ways you can fight the cold bug is with VSOC, and 1.3 isn't going to be enough for that. Maybe even for ambient it's not going to be enough. The other thing I'll point out, I am on my only set of A-die, which is not really good for the job. I mean, it'll do 8,000, so that's great, but it doesn't have an unlocked PMIC. So the max that I can set in BIOS that will still post, I mean, if I set higher than this, it'll post, but it won't post at that voltage, so it's useless. Like I can set 1.7, but it will just post at stock VDD and VDDQ, which is 1.1, which severely limits your memory overclocking. But the most I can post is 1.43, which isn't, I mean, of course it's limiting me, but it's not limiting me as much as I would have thought. So 8,000 ambient, something that was totally impossible previously. Just to give you an idea, I totally suck at DDR5 memory overclocking, so take this with, you know, an entire ocean full of salt. But by the way, the bench I was testing on, not because it's a particularly good memory bench, but just because it's a bench that received globals just a couple of days ago, is 7-zip. My previous score is down here, which is actually still okay efficiency. Like, it's not totally being embarrassed by everyone else. Maybe this bench just still hasn't been benched enough, or people don't know how to do know as little or are as unsuccessful at AM5 memory overclocking as I am. But my previous score is not great. This is what I was running. So at the time I had huge problems with A die getting it high. So either A die or D die or M die, sorry, A die or M die. The lowest cast I could set is 32. The lowest middle, well, A die probably worse than 37, but for M die, the lowest middle timings I could set was 37, no matter what frequency. The others I think are just self-explanatory. It doesn't like do much to the scores anyway. But the highest mem strap I could do is 6200. So now I'm here. Now I'm at 8000 strap. So that's a big difference. I know I'm running sync F clock here. I'm not running sync F clock currently on the rig, but let's actually go into our pre-testing score, let's say, which is this one. So here, okay, we have 0.25 more. Oh god, I hate that mouse wheel action. Okay, how do I zoom? Okay, so we've got 25 megahertz more on the CPU. Fair enough, it shouldn't make a massive difference. We've got similar settings what we've currently got booted, but our score is 2559. 2559 at similar frequency versus 2445. So that's pretty good. That would put us 2559. I mean, that puts us 200 megahertz ahead of the like efficiency curve, roughly. Solid Necro seems to have a pretty decent score, actually. I'm just sort of wondering if that's new Agisa or old Agisa. How's everyone doing, by the way? It's been a long time since my last stream, mostly because of Team Cup and the new screen monitor. Also, why is this camera actually not? There we go. New monitor, Team Cup, and I got an entirely new NAS, actually, Synology, and was busy rebuilding that and adding drives to it and stuff. Your hands are sore. Dare I ask from what? I mean, I do have the like adult filter on my stream, so I can pretty much do anything I want. And actually, talking adult, Twitch is gone to total shit. Whenever I go to the Twitch home screen now, it's like women with their boobs out and like fucking lube or whatever, or like cooking oil in their cleavage. Like, it's just ridiculous. What is going on? Amazon obviously doesn't give a flying fuck about Twitch anymore. Are they gonna shut it down? Like, what was it? Mixer or something was owned by Microsoft, and then they just shut it down one day with very little notice. Is it going to be shut down? Is it going to be sold? Is it going to be totally like monetized to hell? Okay, so this guy's at 28 cast. Okay, with sync F clock. I guess let's just have a look at the stretch goal. Would be something like Bullant. Air into the fuel system, that sucks. What age car? Is it like a really old car, or are you having unexpected trouble with like a nice new car? So Bullant, roughly the same. I'm exactly the same memory clock and strap and Encore as me. Same board as well, but I don't know how he's getting down to 32 casts. That's interesting. Also, I've spent so much time benching Team Cup that I was passed for first in Australia, which hurts. I haven't done like globals benching in a long time, But now we have new Y Cruncher, new GPU Pi, and new 7-zip. Well, 7-zip is the old 7-zip with globals added, but I haven't rebenched any of that stuff. So him slipping in front of me just momentarily isn't as big of a deal as it might look. By the way, real time doesn't seem to help on this bench, which is interesting. Let's give it a run. This is a rerun happy bench as well. You have a pump. Have to pump the hand primer. 05 Ford Fusion. Garage Bosch repair. Well, hopefully you have like a warranty on the repair, and they'll now fix the repair for free. My last car was a. They repaired it. Fuck all. Okay, I'll wait for the fans to spin down. This is really noobish, but on like systems like this, I often like to monitor CPU temps with GPU-Z because it's, I don't know, it's just easier to quote unquote install than anything else. Yeah, my previous car was a 2003 Honda CR-V, and at the time I sold it, it had both an oil leak and a fuel leak. So if I park, I'll never forget this. One day I'd parked my car for a while, and I parked it on a hill, kind of just a small hill, and I woke up to it. GPU-Z best CPU temp monitor. Yes, exactly. Hi White by the way, how are you doing? I had parked it. What was it? Like nose down, and I figured out. So I went to my car, and there was a bit of like liquid drying on the tarmac next to it, which I wouldn't have paid attention to if it weren't for the fact that my neighbor had left a handwritten note on the windshield saying, "I think your car is leaking fuel. This is unsafe. Please do something about it." And all I did actually for weeks afterwards until I sold the car was just make sure I always parked it flat. But then the hilarious thing was I had already known at that point that it also had a fuel leak. But the fuel leak wasn't in a resting position. It was if I drove it facing up, so uphill. So I was in this hilarious situation where my car couldn't be driven like that, and it couldn't be parked like that. So basically I was just all I could resort to is driving and parking my car flat until I sold it. Okay, let's maybe have a tiny little look around BIOS. By the way, on more recent Gigabyte BIOSes, you can favorite any setting you want by hitting insert. So I'm going to favorite, so it gets the little star next to it, DDR5 auto booster, and they're favorited in order. So it's a bit, I think I need to favorite them because I want memory timings actually to be at the end. So, and you can even favorite submenu stuff. So there you go. Okay. I feel like I should disable CSM support. That's just annoying me. Boom. So I'm on my trusty Noctua. So I don't know why this camera is zoomed in. I need to. I have a lot of things to fix. But anyway, I wanted to just get live instead of arsing about all day. So I'm at 1.25 vCore because, as Benchmate tells me, I'm already hitting like 90 plus degrees. Obviously VDD and VDDQ at the max that I can set while it's where it still sets. Memory multipliers go up in 200 megahertz steps, so I tried 82, not very hard because the scaling isn't that great anyway. So the 80 is where it's at. I haven't tried B clock adjustments. It's always interesting. Let me get my trusty calculator out. 53 times 101. Yeah, okay, let's try 53. Let's try that. I was gonna talk so much on this stream, but I just sort of feel like benching at this point. I also woke up to my streaming rig. Woke up sounds weird. I'm streaming in the evening, so that doesn't make any sense. But when I started preparing for the stream, let's put it this way: when I started preparing for the stream, I came to the realization that my streaming rig had a Windows update, and that fucked with my shell replacement program, which I find completely irreplaceable because my streaming rig is on Windows 11. It's kind of a guinea pig. I'm thinking, you know, maybe I'm too much of an old-fashioned guy and have to get over my obsession with Windows 10 being a better OS than Windows 11. So I decided to upgrade only my streaming rig because I don't use it very often, so I won't get as pissed off with all of the dumb shit that is in Windows 7 or Windows 11. I mean, but that was on the condition that I would have a shell replacement that puts the start menu on the left, which I do have. But of course, Microsoft, in their infinite shit fuckery, always, every cumulative Windows 11 update, without fail, they make sure to fuck with all the shell replacement programs, all the like taskbar replacement programs. So I woke up to my streaming rig having just a dead Explorer, so I would boot it up, and that's interesting. I would boot it up and it would just black screen. Okay, we're obviously on the edge here, which is no surprise because, you know, 8200 doesn't work. What's everyone else dailying? Is it still 7 or 8.1 or 10 or 11 or Linux or Mac OS? Oh, the other thing that happened is my personal laptop had a broken USB-C. And I started setting up a stream at one point, setting up without my laptop, but then I was like, life is hard enough without these kind of complications. Let's just fuck it. I've told myself that a lot recently. Just fuck it. It's not worth it. Okay. So what I wanted to do was, you know, cheat the system a bit and go extreme LLC on a SOC. I guess I shouldn't be autoing the vCore one either, but let's just leave that alone for a second. What bias profile am I on? Yeah, gear down disable. There you go. Huh. Okay, let's reapply our SOC. Disabled. I think I got 45 to run early. Let's just give that a crack. Oh man, I meant to put in oh, there you go. You can look at the, you know, postcode display on AM5 isn't very exciting. It just hangs on 15. It's very good for streaming because memory. I'll show you the. This is hilarious. Byte B650 Tachyon. I'll show you the, like, basically the BIOS changelog. It's hilarious. Here we go. Where's BIOS? There you go. So the one with the big changes was 1.007. Hey Royal the Wolf, I'm good. How are you? So that was in July. So I play with that a little bit. But the current one is FAD, which only came out 13 days ago or so. So here we've got 1.007C. I thought it was D. It's C. I confused it with the D up here. But I love this little asterisk saying improved DDR5 OC performance, but higher memory speeds may cause longer memory training time on the first boot. Training times at launch were already horrendously slow, but somehow now they're even slower. And the really, you could call it frustrating. Maybe the thing that you kind of have to get used to, I'm going to be euphemistic about it, is how it not only takes a long time, but also there's no code. It's just hang on 15. And the way I know that my memory OC fails, if it's hanging on 15, it's still training. But if it hangs on 15 and then doesn't tick over to another code, but just shuts down, I know training has failed. So at least from that point of view, at least it doesn't do like the fan spinning, boot cycling BS that some other platforms do, which that's one of my pet peeves. So at least it only does like, it seems to have some way of like basically training all under the same boot code, which is like something that I'm kind of new to. So I got a few hints. I mean, my DDR5 expertise, such as they are still non-existent after all these many years. But I got some hints earlier that Gita mode off does give a little boost, and in this bench it's not massive, but it does give a boost, and it makes it somewhat harder to train or post, I guess, memory settings. But in this case, it was worth it. I didn't lose much. You're doing dice? Is that it? Deke? GPU LN2 pod turned up. Finally can get down to some proper OC. What pod did you buy? And was it new or used? Come on, 7-zip. One of my problems with 7-zip, I mean, I have many problems with 7-zip, but one of my problems with 7-zip is that it just spits out random numbers. It does seem to have a let's say set number of iterations, but the iterations are all called 22, 23, 22, 23, so it's hard to know how far through it is. And then of course my other complaint as always is it can't be run outside of Benchmade, which is just complete and other horseshit. Tech9 FAD revision 3.0 off of Rage Master Flopper. I never knew what the revisions were called. I'm guessing Tech9 revision 3.0 is the latest revision, in which case it would be this one. Too big, too small, and pretty good heft and size. This is an old ass Tech9. This is more of a copper base to it, as you can see here, and it's got the two big, which you can't see. How did I get it earlier? Okay, believe me, it's got two big and one small in the middle. Was I angling it up like that? Anyway, you get the picture. And the top is a different material and a different thickness and all that. So this is probably a revision 1 or 2. This is probably a 3. That's newer than, okay, so wow, there was a 4. And I just realized I gotta bencher to return that pod to me, because I was gonna run dual GTX 680s cold and I never did. But I suppose it's one way to get property returned to you, just lie about your needs. I mean, at the time I thought I was gonna do it. It's not really lying. Nickel plate is Rev 4. I mean, they're all going to do pretty much the same job. So what's hey Tanta Keta, good to see you. What's SheepAs about? Can you like what's the skew of GPU? It's just not a very interactive bench. It's just like what do the numbers mean? I've been running this for 2 days now and prepping for this stream. Ooh, that's a new. I think that's a new top score, and I still don't know what the numbers mean. A bench needs to be. You need to be able to feel it. You know, it needs to be tactile. It needs to have. Okay, I know it's all synthetic, and you're going to tell me, you know, if you want real life benching done, then don't bench for HWBot. I understand that line of thinking, but within the confines of HWBot, it needs to be real. It needs to be, you know, tangible, tactile. And the 7-zip, I know it's like emulating real file compression or decompression or whatever, but the way that the benchmark is implemented, just random figures jumping in front of my face. It just doesn't mean anything to me. GTX 560. What are the 3 benches? I could look this up, but I'm busy running this bench. Okay, so 45 is all good. Oh, I should have checked what the higher LLC stock turns out at. Firestrike's, yeah, lots of benches are like that. I mean, 32M is the classic example of a bench where the init means something, loop 1 means something, loop 10 means something, loop 12 means something, loop 24 means something. It's just so good. You get that sense. Even it's so hard to describe. I mean, it's even when a run is a bit weird, like the Waza you've run like is made the loops a bit off, you still know how much you're off by, or what effect it's having on the run. You can have a Waza, you can have a really dead flat run, and you can have a Waza that gives you a bit at the start and at the end, but hurts you in the middle. You know, you can visualize like what's happening to your run. In 7-zip, it's just you know, running like it's funny. Like it's like people always talk about X2U and W prime being these lotteries, and I mean I'm not going to dispute that, but in comparison to some of these modern benches, they're almost better than that. See, earlier I tightened TRFC, but I wasn't having any luck with it actually helping this score. What do these RDRDs do? I'm at the main. I mean, RTP, I doubt that would. Ref, I'm at the max. WR, I'm at the main. I haven't messed with RC in a bit. Let's try something conservative like 46. Yeah, Tantakata, you missed it earlier, but I'm jumping in a bit because actually I'm ranked 2nd in Australia now for the first time in about 2 years. It was a bit of a, I mean, it was a bit of a shock when it happened because the last time I looked, I was still 100 points ahead, which at the like 5,600 points ranking is 100 points is a lot. It's hard to get. The higher you go, the harder it is to get a point even. But then within a day, Bulan just knocked out so many scores, and now he's hardly okay. He's 36 points ahead or something. I should scroll back through my Instagram to see the posts I put up saying I'm Aussie #1 to work out how long I've been on #1. But basically, he's been spamming 7-zip and Y Cruncher and GPU Pi, the benches that have changed recently. So I'm gonna spam them back, I guess. Okay, while my system posts or not, I'm gonna get another beer. should disappear to get a beer more often because it actually posted, so that's good news. I mean, W Prime, I could talk for hours about W Prime. Cheers, by the way. So this is Cooper's Extra Stout. I got it on special, like a 24 pack, and I'm now slowly realizing that as much as I like stout, I don't particularly like it out of bottles. So I'm trying to sort of work through my stash and not have too much of it in one go because it's an acquired taste, like everything. What's Tostara beer? Is that an Aussie beer or an American beer or what? Okay, so what did we change? We went from 50 RC to 46 RC, but a lot of these timings don't do a ton, especially in this bench. This is probably bench. Like I'll move on to. I mean, I think the phrase "I'll move on to Y Cruncher" should never be uttered because Y Cruncher is always like a week-long thing, I find. But I may make a feeble attempt at some sort of Y Cruncher optimization. Yeah, okay, so my do I want to go into it? Hopefully I won't bore you all to tears, but my laptop, which is the ThinkPad X13 Gen 2, I think, AMD version, of course. What else? Mobile Intel is an embarrassment to humanity. It's so bad. It's so unbelievably bad. I wish I could sugarcoat it in some sense, some way, put a spin on it and say, oh well, it's good at this and bad at this. But current gen, like Alder Lake and later, mobile Intel is a fucking embarrassment to everyone involved. It's so bad. So I had my previous work laptop had a 12th gen so-called i5. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's like a Pentium, but it was an i5, and the core config was 2 P cores with hyperthreading, thank God, and 8 E cores. So a dual core in 2023 supposedly is considered an i5. But not only that, it ran extremely fucking hot. Like just insanely hot for what it was. It was like the worst of all worlds. Bad battery life, bad performance, bad thermals, everything. But then my colleague at work had some issues with his laptop, like constant blue screening and stuff, and basically the entire team was told that we could upgrade to from a 14-inch to a 15-inch, which also entailed going from an i5 to an i7. Oh god, but I think it's still only a quad core. It's like, let me think about this. I think they call it a 12 core, so it must be a quad core with 8 E cores. It's still terrible. Like, this is a new laptop. Like, when I got it, it was a new, like, factory new laptop that Dell still sells, and it has, no word of a lie, it has about a hour and 10-minute battery life. This is a 15-inch laptop with like VGA out and like full-size Ethernet, and somehow it still chugs so much battery. It's just incredible. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's so, like, they need to get whatever the next thing is, Meteor Lake or whatever, just a completely new core config. Just blow it all up. This is like NetBurst was on the desktop. It's so bad. Like 10th and 11th gen, from what I remember of 10th and 11th gen mobile Intel, it was competent. It wasn't great, but it was competent. So the laptop that I own is AMD. It was 700 Aussie dollars later less for the same chassis, same everything, including USB 4, everything, nothing missing. People always bitch and moan about Thunderbolt being missing from AMD laptops. Not in this case. It has Thunderbolt, or the equivalent, which is USB 4 in a USB-C format, connector. So there's nothing missing, absolutely nothing missing, and it was $700 less from ThinkPad with exactly the same chassis and everything, same battery size, same screen, same everything, just because it has an AMD badge instead of an Intel badge. But you know what? It's a Ryzen 5, and it has a true 6-core up against a dual core. What the hell? I work in IT. I won't get more specific than that, I don't think. Yeah, so, okay. I come back to the laptop story. That's not the end of it. But yeah, talking about the Tachyon, because Tantaketa mentioned it. It is a good board. It certainly is a good board. It's well built. There's so many things that I like about it physically. I like the huge postcode display. I like all the buttons being at the bottom. You see, like sometimes they split up the buttons. They have like the postcode up here and the buttons down here, or buttons and postcode up here. Here you have the postcode down here. You have power and the plus and minus buttons. I guess you can assign ratio. And you've got a reset, limp mode, retry, and CMOS clear all at the bottom. Amazing. Okay, let me just dial in a little overclock. So 46 was a success. Now let's try 44. Let's just keep going down. But their inherent limitations with the platform. So a few different things. So some things coming from AMD, some things coming from Gigabyte, and some things coming from TSMC. So TSMC 5 nanometer basically has a hard limit of 1.55 V-core. Now, when I still had a working Asus Strix board, it let me set like 1.7, but I don't think that was real. I should have tried to multimeter it, but I don't think that was real. So from what HiCookie told me, basically the process, just like the failure rate above 1.55 V-core, no matter what the cooling method, is just too high. So they decided to hard cap it at 1.55. So I feel like that does limit the cold overclocking potential, because 1.55 you can kind of already run like on chiller. So if the manufacturing process was capable of it, I would imagine that like let's say full pod on a single CCD chip, you would do like even like single core, certainly you would do like 1.7, but you can't because of the manufacturing process. So that's the TSMC aspect of things. Coming from AMD, I mean, initially we thought, I think they were pretty clever with making it a 2-dimmer, because initially 2-dimmer did jack all. It just did nothing because the AGISA was so bad, like the memory overclocking was so bad on that platform. But now we have a good 2-dimmer with lots of PCB layers, all of the ingredients. They built it for the future. They knew, AM4 being what it was, multiple generations, likelihood was the IMC and the AGISA would catch up with Intel, which they kind of have. Like 8,000 on Ambient is nothing to sneeze at. But initially when I got the board, when I tried AM5, I was like, wow, what is this memory overclocking? It's like you could just like go down 2 with each timing, just sort of niggle around, like just nudge the timings a bit, and it was like on the Strix board I had at launch. So the Tachyon, I think it's like public knowledge that the Tachyon just wasn't ready at launch, not in volume at least. So I bought a Strix board, which was the cheapest board available locally at launch, that had postcode display, which in the end wasn't all that useful. Okay, so we had 44, and I ran that and it died. It was sort of weird actually. Usually when you finish a cold session, you check to see if it's throwing 0 zeros, and if it is, you clean and dry the board over 24 hours and then give it another check. Here I don't remember any indications of the board being dead, but then I did like 13th gen stuff. I had a bench session down in Adelaide, lots of other things, and then like 6 months later I finally came back to the AM5 platform and I tried to post my board and it was dead. And you know how it is with hardware availability at launch. A lot of things are hard. Either the hardware isn't ready or the hardware is ready but there are only a limited number of samples. But I contacted HWBot and he was good enough to send me one of his spare boards. So me killing my board, ooh, that's a big boost, right? Me killing my board kind of worked out for me because it meant I got an upgrade to a Tachyon. But yeah, it's like a full retail board. I have the box for it and everything. You want to do OC as your job. OC as your job is really tough. Like just talking to some, I'm not naming names, but so don't even ask if anyone is tempted to ask where these stories are coming from. But talking to some people in the industry, I'm not even gonna name company names, but you may know that there's a certain company that has more resources than other companies, all other companies actually. And if you manage to get a job with that certain company, we won't name names, then you may get a job that is actually 100% XOC and getting scores, getting records, and promoting those records on social media and all that. You may even get someone to help you with that. But every other company that isn't that company, which we won't name, you will, even if you get that job, which there aren't that many around, you will have a dual role of maybe being I've heard all kinds of stories, and obviously take them with a grain of salt, but you may even be asked to help translate the BIOS manual. BIOS testing is fun if your programmers build a BIOS because you found certain things XOCing and you ask for a feature and you then have to test that feature. That's one thing, but you may be asked to just check if XMP is working in BIOS, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, there's jobs out there as XOC as your job, but it might not be what you imagine it to be. But to be fair, let's face it, most jobs out there aren't what you imagine it to be. Very, very few are. Where did that boost come from? I'm just checking. So we got 100 points. Okay, that's not as drastic as I thought it was. I mean, it still could work out. I don't want to dissuade anyone. I certainly don't want to do that. But yeah. Loving your 690 Tachyon. Rev 0.1, but works like a charm. You have a couple of guesses, YouTube included. I mean, YouTube isn't a hardware manufacturer. I was talking about hardware manufacturers. Okay, back to the Tachyon. Yes, so okay, let's just give a history of Gigabyte overclocking boards, like XOC boards. The first one was the X58 OC, orange one. Maybe some of you guys remember it. That was a collaboration between HWBot. That was the first board that HWBot worked on. That was I think that's around the time that HWBot started working at Gigabyte. HWBot and Dinos22 when he was still working at Gigabyte. Let's see. Then in terms of LN2 boards, there was the Z87 LN2. I remember. I don't know what 70 for Z77. There was the UP7. I don't know if you would consider that to be an XOC board. Let's just throw it in there. I mean, there was the X80, X58 UD9. You could consider an XOC board as well. That came after the OC, I think. So let's say UD7. Haswell, we had the Z87 LN2 board with the missing mounting holes. The Z97 LN2, which I believe still holds the DDR3 frequency record to this day. Yeah. And after that we had Z170 LN2, I think. That was the thing. 270, to the best of my knowledge, was completely skipped. And then there was the big, this is when I got involved. Yeah, I'm not breaking them down by retail, and yes, that's a bit messy. Some of them are technically retail, but you know, 100 copies were sold or something. Some of them are, yes. And I own pretty much all of them, actually, by sort of mistake, like an accident, happy accident. So the X58 OC I bought like secondhand. The Z87 LN2, which was ES only, I got passed on from another bencher. The 97 LN2 I actually don't own, but from my understanding, maybe the bias maturity is better on the 97, but in terms of like PCB and all that, the 87 is pretty close. I don't think the chipset made a big difference in terms of like overclocking ability. The 170 is a blind spot for me. I don't have that. But the 370 LN2 is a great board, great looking board, great board to bench. Sadly, a little bit like it lost its relevancy because it doesn't handle A2 BDI that well, because the BIOS just stopped getting updates at a certain point. That was the first board I competed on at PAX Australia 2017, when the HWBot World Tour was still a thing. We were provided with an 8700K, really like new 8700K. Okay, that's an 05, so we're a goner here for this train. 8700K and the Z370 LN2 board, and we didn't get to keep that board, but later on someone sold me theirs. And then that's pretty much it. The 370 went with like BIOS updates and stuff that went all the way to the 9900K, right, which was the last flagship chip on that socket. And then we had the Tachyon, and I have all the 4 Tachyons. So the Tachyon was like, that was a pretty big gap, you know, 8700K launch all the way to 9900KS. There was no new Gigabyte XOC board. I may need to clear the BIOS, we'll see. And it sort of seemed like maybe a little bit like the OC formula, right? Like there was a big gap between the X299 OC formula and the Z590 OC formula. A bit like that. We didn't really know if there was ever going to be another LN2 board from Gigabyte. You know, maybe the powers that be in corporate, you know, decided it wasn't a good use of their resources anymore. But thankfully, came back with a bang with the Z590 Tachyon, which I really like, because it's the last DDR4 socket. I mean, you know, there's AM4, I suppose, which sort of, you could argue, is a later socket in some ways, you know, with the release of the 3D chip. What's going on? Then LGA 1200. All right, there we go. But yeah, in terms of, you know, max frequencies achieved and all that, and just the sophistication of the IMC and the memory overclocking aspects of that platform, LGA 1200 will always have. I always have a soft spot in my heart for that. Even though I killed my 10900Ks, I don't really have a good chip for that platform at the moment. I mean, I have a random 10850K and I have an 11900K. That's pretty decent. I think that board, because the 10 series launched with 490 and the 11 series launched with the Z590, you have the opposite problem to the Z370. The Z370 is good with A0 RAM and bad with A2. On 1200 you have the problem where like 10th gen is pretty dicey on the Z590 Tachyon, but just coming up with that new name, you know, it's Star Trek inspired and all that, it's just perfect marketing move. I was all in, and now it's like I'm a completionist. I have all the Tachyons now, the 590, 690, 790 and the AM51. 690, if I remember right, it's going back a bit, but that launched with 12th gen, which is a couple of, I mean, we're almost at 14th gen now, so it's like 2 years ago now. I think we launched at defaults. We booted up defaults. Let's have a quick look. Ooh, yeah. So rough start, but a pretty decent board now. I mean, I take 790 over just because it's my board, my copy of it has seen less abuse, like cold abuse. A common thing with DDR5 boards, especially on the Intel side, is they like to lose a DIMM, so it'll cycle 54 postcode more than once if one of the DIMMs isn't training. I've had that issue on my 690 board, my 790 board. I don't think I've had it on my AM51 yet. What's it doing? Just clear the goddamn CMOS. What's even happening? Oh, why was it showing 00 and going into BIOS? It should show A6. But it's not unsurmountable. You gotta mess around with the mounting pressure. You gotta if people in chat don't know what Magic Spray is, electronic circuit board cleaner, it is godsend. Throw so much of this into your socket, onto your DIMMs, on the gold contacts on the DIMMs, and onto the RAM slots themselves. Let the board dry. Inspect for visual dirt in there as well. Let it fully dry. Why are we hanging on random postcodes? And then try again and vary the mounting pressure, and also change DIMM order if that helps. I don't know what IPA is. I just know that that's a beer. So don't put beer into your CPU socket, whatever you do. Yeah, so we got onto this because Tantaketa mentioned that he likes his AM5 Tachyon. Saying all that, so I'm obviously grateful to have gotten a sample. It is a step up from the Strix that I had. However, you know, the AMD sockets are always a lesser priority at Gigabyte or anywhere really than the Intel ones. So I'm running a retail bias now because the memory overclocking is great, but I just can't go above 1.3 VSOC, which will hold me back cold. Okay, so I think 44 didn't work. I don't think we went to 42. Let's just post 46 again. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so the crosshair has some like advantages. It seems like I've never run it actually. Leaving high at the end of this year. Not sure what that means, Royal the Wolf. High school. Okay, I got it. As any crazy person. That's a very sane thing. What are you talking about? You found the problem with Twitch. Your system clock was an hour behind. Oh my god. My work has this insane desk booking because we don't have assigned desks, so we have this insane desk booking app, and it's so bad. I'm gonna call them out actually because I don't give a fuck, because I think it's just disgracefully bad. It's called Rico Spaces by, you know, Rico, the company that used to do like printers and stuff, and it takes your system time. But my system time is set to UTC because that's just how my company works. Because it's a global company, it makes sense. Everything's UTC. So you're encouraged to book your desk and then check into your desk. And you can certainly book your desk as many days in advance as you want. But then I start work at 2200 GMT, so the date will still be the previous day. And I can't check into my desk because as far as the app is concerned, it's not the day of my booking yet. It just obviously just doesn't even know that time zones exist. It should just, I mean, a booking is for a certain location. You should just like, it's on the internet anyway. It's an app. It should just grab the time. Have you ever heard of that? Just using some sort of API to grab the time of the location of the desk booking. Anyway, rant over. I'm feeling a bit ranty today. Hopefully it's not bumming people out. Okay, so why are my favorites fucked? There we go. That's more like it. So that was a fail. TWR is mend. I feel like RP should be able to go to like 20. Or 40, I mean. Let's try that. There we go. How do I end up affording high-end stuff? I mean, I have a job. I have a full-time job. You're in high school, so that's a different thing. I definitely, I mean, I've said this before, right? There's some people, like, it's obviously completely and utterly free to people. Oh, you're leaving. Free to people to use their money whatever way they want to use it. But if I was like cutting into my savings or going into debt to buy overclocking gear, I wouldn't do it. It's all disposable income, and I want to keep it that way. And actually, the tiny bit I make from Twitch, that just goes straight back into gear. Isopropyl alcohol is IPA. I don't know. This magic spray is like a cut above everything I've tried, but I can't say that I've tried everything. OP NVM. Okay. Tantaketa, I'm running 1.43 for VDD and VDDQ because I'm using OEM A die. It's the only A die kit I have. And on this board and BIOS and RAM combination, it doesn't unlock the PMIC, which means I'm limited to, it's supposedly 1.435, but with like variation or whatever, I'm not able to post 1.435, so I'm limited to 1.43. But I'm still doing 8,000 benchable. Can't be that bad, right? Any product where the customers and the users are different people tends towards being shit. Is this about Rico Spaces? Or Windows 11? I mean, we've talked about both. Okay, 40 is working. Okay, let's see if we see any gain. That's interesting. Okay. At the risk of once again descending into a very deep and very lengthy philosophical debate, it is true that products tend to be shit, because what happens in a capitalistic marketplace is, as long as all of your competitors are shit too, all you have to be is ever so slightly less shit or equally as shit as all your competitors. And that it sort of has two benefits to the business in the sense that you can have like hire mediocre people to do a mediocre job because you don't care anyway, so you don't have to be as selective in your hiring processes, which makes all that easier. But it also just, besides that, means money saved basically. Spend money on like marketing or things that just don't improve the product, because it doesn't, the return on investment on improving your product is like pretty unsubstantial, like on what do you call it, it's pretty insignificant basically. So why would you do it, you know? Everything is about profit maximization these days. But yes, we also have that additional complication, let's say, where so you already have a bog standard application that is a mediocre level of shit that approaches like is like in a similar ballpark to all of the other crap applications that consumers have to deal with. But then you put an additional twist on it of, you know, a company just like thinks too much of themselves and like doesn't um doesn't test the app because they just think it's great because they've only like shown it or opened it like their beta or whatever, is just like uh you know, yes people. I was gonna say yes men, but it's not. What's the gender neutral 2023 way of saying yes men? Yes people, yes persons. I don't know. Job is a game changer for OC. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it's possible to bench while unemployed, but it's just, it's a challenge. It's not. It's a totally different ball game. It's I would imagine you would have to go to like e-cycling places a lot more. It all depends on like your personal situation and all that, but like I could even imagine some sort of situation where, with the cost of electricity these days, where you have to like pick and choose when to run a phase unit if you have one, that kind of thing. 25.2. I can't remember what my best was. A pass is always good. 25. Ooh, we were at 25.9. All surprising how memory timings don't really help as much as you think they would. Yes, pricks. In relation to what? I mean, I agree. Most people are pricks. So, oh yes, pricks. Okay, but that's even less gender neutral than yes men. Okay, Paul, but I don't want to speculate as about people's like personal affairs all too much, because it's none of my business and it's not really very constructive. But yeah, I mean, Sebi may still be in school, but who knows? Maybe his parents are rich. I don't know. I shouldn't really be talking about like people, but I'm just saying, let's just generalize it. Just because you're in university doesn't mean that you don't have the means to overclock, is what I'm trying to say. Is there a good gender neutral vulgar insult? Um, I mean, asshole is good, right? Like, that's gender neutral. Every person has an asshole, or could be an asshole, could act like an asshole. Okay, so that's obviously not all that stable. Yes holes. I like this brainstorming session we're doing here. It's very constructive. Okay, 41 is a thing, so let's try 41 for the sake of completeness. Let's try 41. Yeah, I mean, there was even talk of during Team Cup. I think some benchers. I mean, you know, take everything with a grain of salt online. But someone was on the Discord saying that there were, was it during last Country Cup even? Like someone was saying they were competing for Team Ukraine, but they were in an area where the mains was out, so they were actually benching using generators. That's next level. I wouldn't have that level of dedication. But if that's what you need to do to get your mind off things, then great that you have that still, that possibility, you know. So I wonder what I'm gonna stream next time. I need to run through my LN2. I'm amazed at how well my viewers keep. Actually, this was a delivery like 3 months ago, and I still have a full 35 liter. It's incredible. I have such good viewers. I bought most of them. The ones that I currently have, I actually bought all of them from benches, and I think it shows. Like basically, I think any bencher that's serious enough about LN2 benching kind of like unintentionally just bins viewers. If they don't hold, they just get passed on, another one gets bought. Okay, so 560 for cheap ads. 560. You always have to be careful with Nvidia because sometimes they have different generations in the same like series of cards. Is a 560 still the same generation of core as a 580? Excuse me. I saw a really weird effect. I don't know if any AM5 benchers are in the chat. Earlier I tried some RAS testing, and on this platform you can set RAS all the way down to 30. 30 wouldn't post, but I tried 36, 34, and 32, and I saw no gains in this bench. Okay, so we have 41 real, supposedly, apparently, allegedly. So yeah, my so my laptop, which isn't an Intel because current gen Intel is a shambles. So coming back from that massive tangent, I don't know how much you guys use docks. I'm a huge fan of docks. I paid extra to get a dock that had 2.5 gigabit Ethernet in it, which is rare, but I wanted it to be able to interact with my new NAS, which also has 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, via my new Switch, which is also 2.5. I'm slowly upgrading the whole house from 1 gig, which is like a 20-year-old technology, to that. And of course, the last step was the laptop, and so I've got that new dock, but my laptop is now a year old. And what I didn't realize when I initially started using my laptop was basically a cost saving measure. It's got 2 USB-Cs, one next to each other on the left hand side at the back, and actually only one of them is USB 4, the other one is 3.1. I think it's the 5G version or the 10G version. In any case, it's like half or a quarter the speed of the other USB-C. So, and of course it's got USB-C charging as well. So what I did over that course of that year, I did a lot of charging of the laptop. And you know how it is, like USB-C, as great as it is, you know, it's reversible, it's sort of universal and all that. One of the problems with it, it's a very small connector and it's delicate and it tends to wear out. So what happened to, and I was charging via the faster port, which I didn't really know when I initially bought my laptop that I was going to eventually buy a dock that would require that faster speed to really have full use of all the ports on it. But I'd been charging on the faster speed one, which makes no sense. I could have just been charging on the other one because charging is the same speed via both of them. But I wore it out, where it was like half broken, you know, that awkward thing where it's not fully broken but it's half broken, so it would throttle down in terms of speed. And if I connected the dock, I wouldn't get both screens. I might get charging and smaller peripherals like mouse and audio, but I wouldn't get the screen because that's obviously higher bandwidth, and I certainly wouldn't get the 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. And I contacted Lenovo support, and of course, you know, the usual thing. Oh, you're doing it wrong. Try this, try that. You know, the usual, no matter how much detail. Actually, I think that it's almost counterproductive to go into detail with support people like that, because I just tune it out. I just think, oh, this person's just rambling on. But what in fact I was doing was telling them all the things I tried, and therefore the things that couldn't be broken, or it couldn't be the root cause of this, because I'd already tried that. But anyway, I had to have a big phone conversation, a 1.5 hour phone conversation with them anyway, where I tried 3 different docks and I think 3 different USB-C cables. And eventually I said, I'm not doing any more testing. You pick one more test for me to do to convince you. I told you at the start of this phone conversation that the port is physically defective. You devise one more test for me to do, and if it fails, it's gonna be an RMA. Can we agree on that? Oh yeah, of course. I'll tell you what to try. Do this and this, and of course it didn't work. So it got sent back in. I had to do it because I only had 1 year depot warranty on it, and that was expiring after, you know, a year after purchase. And the quote, because it was going to be motherboard replacement, because of course these days everything's soldered straight onto the motherboard. It was like a 12-day working days was the estimate for getting it repaired. It didn't take that long, but I thought I could get away with just using my work laptop and like my phone to tide me over while I didn't have my laptop. But the evening of the day that the DHL guy came around to pick up my laptop, I was like, this is insufferable. This is like third world conditions. I need a proper laptop to use for, you know, tons of different things. So I bought a laptop just to tide me over for those few days. But it got fixed in the end, so that's good. Now I have a working 2.5 gigabit Ethernet on my laptop. Yay. Gonna get 50 liters on Friday. Oh, AVX, that's right. I'm gonna have to rebench my 12600 KF, which I already didn't enjoy the first time I benched Y Cruncher on that. But I think the BIOSes have made things easier, right? Like 8,000 or whatever through Y Cruncher, or 7,800 should be easier now. Okie dokes. So what did we just change? The RAS that I changed earlier and it didn't give me any scaling. I'm just changing it again just to have a look. So what I've been running all the time was 38. Let's try 36. So you've got the current 1B record. Let's have a look. I haven't been paying attention. The other thing that's been soaking up my time is I've been buying and testing turntables and stuff, and buying some vinyl. But of course, it'll be like every other hobby that I mentioned on stream. Like, I've made jokes about this before about how, like, I ask people, you know, the Rugby World Cup is currently on. Any other rugby fans? And it's like crickets. Okay, you know, the NBA finals are currently on. Any NBA fans? And it's crickets again. I'm also into photography. Any photographers in chat? And it's the same thing. So I don't expect anyone to be into vinyl, even though it is pretty hip these days. It's not like a niche thing like a lot of the other things that I engage in. Okay, 6.3. I don't have a 12900 anymore. The one I did used to own did have AVX, but I don't think it was a good bin, so I just passed it on anyway. 32, 45, 45, 32, 77, 2T. 55 NB seems a bit low, but then again, if I remember right, Y Cruncher doesn't really scale all that much. $8,400. But for those kind of, I mean, so you have to bin RAM. I don't think my OEM A die would be capable of 8400. Probably a lot of my MCs wouldn't be capable of it either. Second run. So what you're heavily implying is you've got some backups. So is Team Germany gonna bench hard in Country Cup this year? Nah, but with a winky face. That's mixed signals if I've ever seen them. Okay. Let's have another little look through bias, and then maybe we can go on to GPU Pi. Come on. You can do it. $42 RAS, you mean? Or 42 the other middle timing? $42 2RP. Both. RAS to 42? 42 is going to be faster than 38. Okay, I've got nothing to lose. TRC. But my Titan SCLs, okay. But I never went to 42 with RC. RC is at still at 46 or something. What's a decent SCL to aim for? So I've got a good quad DDR4 kit now, so that'll do like 3800 C, like 12, 11, 11 easy. So my next stream I might just do more global touring, like on the 18 core on the 7980 XE, because I've got the water block attached now, not dropping any channels, which is always a challenge with X299. Come on, Rig. You can do it. What's your experience with the RFC on DDR5? I mean, it auto to over 1,000 on the first RFC. So when I tightened down to 640, that was a decent boost. But then when I went into the 500s with the first RFC, it didn't. The score got worse. But I saw that RFC 2 was in the 600s, so I tightened RFC 2 and or B or SB or whatever it's called as well. But that it just went nowhere. $490, $490, $400. What the fuck? I was slamming delete the whole way. Okay, let's try. You think I know what button to press these days, like after all these years, but apparently not. What else happened? Oh, we had a 35-degree day, which is I think 93 or 94 in American money. And then the next day it was like 21 degrees. Okay. 42, 42, 46 RP. SCL. Okay, let's 490, 490, 400. Let's just try that. 490, 490, 400. 8 for all the SELs. Okay. 8. 8. Wow, defaults to 33. Okay. This will be interesting. I think I won't mess with timings anymore. So if this gives a boost, I might save the profile and see what we can get up to through GPU Pi. I don't really remember my score. Not GPU, CPU. I have a score. God damn it, Bullet. Oh, it's an LN2 score. Do I have? No, I don't. Okay. I guess we just have to target Bullet, eh? So how does one while my system posts, how does one get OpenCL 3.0? Oh, you just have to do I even remember how to get the SDK? Intel OpenCL SDK. Does anyone know offhand what version is? Just the latest version. Please don't let me make me sign in. Oh god damn it. Okay. This is gonna be a longer process. Okay, Zen timings. Oh, thanks, Mr. Tante. So let's just make doubly sure that SCL tightened up. Okay, it did. I mean, 33 to 8 should give a boost. I'd be surprised. I mean, we may need a rerun. Okay, clicking on the link now. Okay, that's significant. Considering our efficiency recently hasn't been. Yeah, that's nice. That's 200 more. Let's save that. Let's actually download the thing. Okay, so you've linked the exact version of it. We don't want the source. What we want is the x64 zip. Is it an online installer? Because it's only 900k. That doesn't make any sense. I don't get it. It's not an installer. I want an installer. I don't want like the source code. There's a zip there, but it has like directories in it and stuff. Where do I place the directories? I'm used to just having the packed installer. But now can I should I be retightening the other timings until I get a fail? CWL is that not, am I going crazy, or is that actually just not exposed in the BIOS whatsoever? I know on Intel you can set it. Install.bat. Okay. But where's install.bat? I don't see it in the zip. It's not under bin. It's not under include. It's not under lib. Okay, that's pretty much the same score as before. What's the fast Y cruncher? I mean, I'm guessing the 8.2. Just for shits and giggles, let's give this a run. It's probably gonna fail miserably. Yeah, good old Y cruncher. So we've got our GPU Pi here. That's obviously the wrong SDK. But let's get that link going. Okay, but I was already on that second link. The third link you posted, am I totally wrong? Yeah, so the first link you say is wrong. The second and third link you posted is the same. And all I'm seeing there is, I mean, I can show you. Am I supposed to be using the source code? Because when I went for the zips, I couldn't find what you... There's no install.bat here either. Is there something I can... Maybe I should give Cinebench 20 a try. Is it on my... I think I was dumb and I did removed it from my Benchmade install, but I think I should be able to re-register it. Actually, you know what? A 32M would be kind of fun for the lols. Thanks. $8,000 RAM, 32M. I love the novelty of it. Okay. File to send.eu. Let's do it. This is probably going to be malware, but you know. Lots of installation of just random shit is necessary to be a bencher, so Yeah, so we've got 14th gen around the corner. It'll be interesting. It'll be like my feeling is it'll be a middle of the road type of release, but that's fine. I mean, comparing that to, I mean, all along the rumor mill was such that the next Zen release was far off, and it's still looking like that. So I guess they're just going to compete with price cuts. I mean, same thing happening on the video card side, right? Like, we just had our first 5090 rumor, which may be total bullshit, but at least there's a rumor. The worst thing, or like the most indicative thing, is always when there are no rumors, because then you know it's far away. Companies don't. Once upon a time, you could have products kind of coming out of nowhere, but now companies don't really do that anymore. They always get their little bit of free marketing out one way or another, via intentional leaks, unintentional leaks, pre-announcements, sneak peeks, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, I'd imagine. You rude kid to reveal my CC sandbags. That's pretty much impossible considering the wallpaper isn't up yet, so I mean, maybe I'm a time traveler. Or are you saying you're gonna have a lurk on my PC for months until there's sandbags to be revealed? What about Team Germany? Are you having a bench meet for CC? And just to add, I had another bencher contact me today about the 54 issue on Intel DDR5 boards. Just to add, mounting pressure is crucial. So, as much as people hate the stock ILM, if you are having dropped channels or dropped whole DIMMs with a replacement bracket, the first step, even before Magic Spray, the first step is you've got to go back to the stock ILM for sure. It's just for these kind of issues, I know it makes the contact worse for the pot and all that, but for these kind of issues, it just helps debug. German scene is pretty dead. Yeah, you know, when I sorry for the second history lesson of the day after the GigaBot XOC boards, but when I originally started XOCing, the world number one was actually Dan Kopp. Not Alan, not OGS. I mean, I don't know if Lumi was ever number one, but in the intervening years. But yeah, so the German and their, you know, Der Bauer has morphed more and more into a businessman and a YouTuber and all that, and that's, I respect that. But in 2017, he was still, you know, was still going to the Taiwan sessions at launch and that kind of stuff. So 4 minutes 20 is the. So I'm only a minute away. That's great. I mean, I think my efficiency might be absolutely killer. So 5 minutes. I'm the same as someone doing 5.7, and I'm at 5.3. Nice. I'm saving that score. I mean, it's probably like terrible on so many different levels, but I'm saving that score. Ugh. After all this time, when was the first time someone realized that opening multiple CPU-Z windows is trouble. We're still at that space now where opening Zen timings at the same time as CPU-Z, no go. It's, in a lot of ways, humanity hasn't really evolved much. Oh shit! The big fucking fuck ass Benchmade stupid thing is gonna be in the way. Okay. Half the time as a bencher, you spend moving around windows. Okay, so we should now have a working GPU Pi, OpenCL SDK. I'm checking the zip, and there is indeed an install.bat this time around. And it's 35 megabytes. It's not the like 900K where I was like, is that really a full SDK or is it just a rootkit? Okay. Open CL. Boom. Okay. Yes. Did that do something? Let's check. Wow, OpenCL 3.0. Great. But you know, the benchmate wrapping of OpenCL doesn't actually do anything. And I think Benchmade in general is a plague on this earth. So whenever I can avoid it, I'm happy to do it. So let's run unwrapped GPU Pi. I know it's total heresy, but let me go to the rankings to have some sort of idea of what batch and reductions people run. Let's just copy Boolant. Let's not be pretentious here. Let's just copy Boolant. 5M128. Come on, build your kernels. Okay, I'm gonna just drop down CPU frequency just in case. That is what it's complaining about. Like I said on the HWBot Facebook post regarding the new version of Benchmade, they pointed out that install speed is quicker now. And they also said that there's new tweaks. And I responded with, the fastest way to install Benchmade is not to install it at all. The install time is instantaneously. And if you want a big selection of tweaks, the largest selection of tweaks is available outside of Benchmade. So there you go. There's my bit of wisdom for today. Free of charge. Okay. Vectorize. I don't even know what a vectorizer is. Okay. Just in case there's something wonky going on here, I'll also launch through here. 5M 128. Never even heard of it. Okay, well there we go. But I'm somehow 6 seconds behind Bullhand, so I guess I need to copy the tweaks to be a total noob and copy the tweaks. Okay, what did he run? OCL unopt math. Okay, taking notes here. Taking notes. OCL unopt math means unsafe? Would that mean unsafe or disable? I guess I can run a 100M and quickly check. I mean, even like a 50M or whatever. Save results. So, unopt math. Okay, so I've picked the right math one. There is a start. Oh, it says it here too. I'm dumb. IOCL vectorizer off. Okay. IOCL AVX2. AVX2. And IOCL LUF3, whatever the hell that means. Loop unroll factor. Okay. I feel very dirty doing that. But it seems there's no other way. Otherwise you're going to be 6 seconds slow. Real time. Not a massive gain usually in GPU Pi, but what do I know? Maybe OpenCL3, everything's different. $24.2 versus 23.17. He's at 5.4. I'm at whatever. How does that compare to my LN2 sub? 26 seconds, what the hell? 41 globals, and now I'd be at 24.2. Well, the funny thing is 50 globals still isn't enough to get into my top global scores, but okay, whatever. I'll save it purely as a reference point. I do obviously expect to better this score. What does everyone think about the new bench? Like, do you like the fact that the rankings have been shuffled around, or do you just think it's all bullshit? Okay, so that was only a 5.2. Now let's do a 5.3. Okay, I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here again, but I think you're used to it already. I think that HWBot already has a lot of unexplored playgrounds. Like if you think about, like, let's say the Heaven Basics, the Heaven Basic stage in Team Cup, the amount of iGPU FM2 benching that's been done in the last 5 years, I could probably count it off on one hand. Serious benching, but now we did some because of Team Cup. So it purely relates to what people get their motivation from, you know. Um, if people always want points, like if they want to be pushed or steered in their benching by what things HWBot gives points for, then yes, I agree. If people are stuck in that mindset of, if I'm going to spend my hard-earned time, you know, or my precious time um, doing this hobby called benching, I want to get points for it, then yes, of course, now you get, oh, points everywhere, new benches, 7-zip has globals, blah, 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 blah. But if all you want is something different, something new, fresh, a fresh approach to benching, there's so much unexplored territory out there in terms of benching. It's unbelievable. Like, when's the last time someone seriously... I know not everyone's into retro benching, but I'm just giving this as an example. When's the last time someone seriously benched Super Socket 7, you know? Probably never in the last 5 years in the entire community. I could go on and on and on and on. You know, there's that like motherboard iGPUs. There's there's like those embedded boards. You know, the AMD embedded boards. I have one like is it an E1 socket or something like that? It's just, benching is like is totally limitless. So sometimes I get a bit surprised. I don't want to say annoyed. Annoyed is too strong of a word, but I get a bit surprised by people saying, "Oh, well, it's always the same stuff all over and over again." Well, we have more benches that gain global points, or benches that are ranked even, that get harbor points, than ever before. If anything, we have too many benches. Like PC Mark 10 Express gets points, but it still doesn't really get bench because everyone's like busy with everything else. Ugh. I'd imagine that GPU Pi is still a lighter bench than 7-zip, so I think I can go up to like 1.3 V-core. So the aspects of PC Mark that I don't like are the fact that there's a mouse wiggle. So you're actually incorrect. It's not 45 minutes. It's nowhere close to 45 minutes. The run length of PC Mark Express, which is the bench that is ranked with global points, is around 14 minutes. And it actually doesn't, it may vary a little bit with core count, but it doesn't vary that much. So even on a really slow system, it'll still only be 14 minutes. So there's a heck of a difference between 45 minutes and 14 minutes. That's the first point. The second point is, I actually kind of like long benches. Long benches let me stream. Like, sometimes a bench is so quick I can't really talk in between. So for me, like, it's a personal choice, right? Like, some people like long benches, some people like short benches. Like GPU, like 3D benches are really long, but they're visual, and like PC Mark is pretty visual as well. So I wouldn't have that be a knock against it. I like the fact that it's like a whole system bench. You know, it has a storage component, it has a CPU component, it has a GPU component. But yes, the aspect of it that I don't like is the fact that there is a mouse wiggle tweak at a certain subtest that's quite late in the run. So you have to like wait 12 minutes and then do a big mouse wiggle. So yeah, that stuff is a bit... But you like, the mouse wiggle might give you 5%. You can still competitively bench PC Mark 10 Express without those weird little tweaks. I bought an Optane for I bought an Optane, which is not the top rank Optane, for something like the equivalent of €60, and it scores quite well. Again, not the very top, but every bench is like that. Like, to compete in 32M, you need an 8.2 gigahertz plus 3900K or KS or KF. That's also really expensive. You know, I think it's a false like critique of PC Mark to say, well, you need the best. Well, you need the best for everything to be at the top. But to be 5% down in PC Mark is actually not as hard as you might think. But extended is not the ranked bench. That's not what we're talking about. I'm not talking like you know, you realize there's different subtests. That's like saying, oh, I don't like Vantage because I have to do the weird subpixel render tests. Well, you can disable them. They're not part of the ranked bench. Performance bias might give a bit gain. Yeah, I have the batch files on the desktop, I think. Hey, come on, give me bias, please. Or is it stuck on AA? Okay, let's limp. I thought limp man go into bias. For God's sake. Life is so complicated sometimes. What did I want to do? I wanted to raise the core. Rise master going to be... No, it's not going to be cooperative. Okay. Restart. It's looking better. I prefer 97, 98 to hang on AA. Oh, and yeah, hopefully I have a recent enough version of Zen States, and then I'll be able to do perf bias. Okay, what am I doing? 1.3 on the V core. Let's try 54 on the core. Let's just be nice and call it a new profile. Yeah, I've got to work tomorrow, and it's 10:20 at night, so I'll be calling it a day in a little while. But let's get another, couple runs of GPU Pi out. I mean, I haven't tried FCLK on a recent Agisa, but pretty average on this chip. If I remember right, like 3400, something like that. Why does GPU Pi scale with it? Okay, 54 at 1.3. Yeah, but okay, so you're not able to set FCLK independent of memclock, right? Like it's pretty much either 1:1 or 1:2. So I'm at 8,000, so I've got to run 2,000 FCLK because it won't do 4,000 FCLK. And I only recently flashed the new BIOS, so I'm trying the like high memclock stuff. I know it may not be the like fastest for all these benches, but I'm just trying that because I'm curious about it. So yeah, 7-zip. Maybe on this BIOS, the absolute fastest would be something like 3400 FCLK, 6800 RAM at like CAS 30, 39 mil timings or something on ADA. I don't know. I don't know what ADA would do there, but you know, something in that ballpark. I'm also sort of just like building up a library of bench results for myself because I forget this stuff, and then it's like, oh damn, we have. What if in a competition in the future we have a stage that's like 8,000 minimum mem clock, you know, or something like that, and then I like being able to look back and just refer to my notes. Oh, come on, benchmate, why don't you just let me? Ugh. Is this HWBot legal? If not, I don't care. Okay, so now we're doing 5-4. So that's nice, but let's try for 5-4-5. Well, how do you do it? How do you resize it? I don't see like a little grab field. Like, I'm sure you're going to tell me now how to do it, but it's not intuitive. I don't get it. The main window isn't part of the screenshot, so I don't care how big it is. In Benchmade options. Every other Windows application in the history of mankind has just been resizable via like, dragging the corners. But of course, Benchmade, wants to do it differently. Let's try 1.35 vCore. Maybe we'll get another 50 megahertz out of it. Yeah, Benchmade. I mean, it's like it's so funny how Benchmade started out as a tool to make benching easier, and now it's the diametrically opposed, the exact opposite thing. It's just ironic. I mean, it's a sort of laugh or cry type scenario. I still choose to laugh about it, but maybe eventually I'll reach a different conclusion. So how does 18 core for next week sound? I won't do 7-zip again. I'll do maybe 18 core Y cruncher quad channel. That could be interesting. Okay. What would I just change? vCore. Okay. Now let's check that our vCore is set. Let's check that our CPU clock is set. Set is the word. And then start launching stuff. And I'll try priority as well. I'll try affinity, or sorry, perf bias. Oh, you're talking OCF for X299. I was like, OCF on AMD, news to me. I originally started out X299 on the Apex, but I think some of the channels died, or the VRM semi died. It didn't perform cold anymore, so I had to get another board. So I don't have any darks. I don't have the AM4 dark. I don't have, you know, the older generation darks. But I think X299 is one of those platforms. Is probably arguably the only platform where the dark is a great board. I used to own the OCF as well, actually. Got my heat killer on there. I love the dual display up here where you can have a postcode and temp display at the same time. It's great. Yeah, some of the BIOS support isn't the best. Like, you probably don't want to be running KBX on it, but for the big chips, it really does well. I'm almost beating Bullshooter. To be fair, I am 50 megahertz higher. Oh, that's a shame. I think we stay at 5.4 flat, and that's it. We're just gonna try a few more tweaks, and then I've got to go to sleep. Thanks, Tanta, for your help. Very much appreciated. See you next time. Okay, 5.4 flat, 1.3 here. Is there anything else left to be done? Sharing is caring, yeah. You never got into BIOS. Did you have a degraded version of the board or something? Yeah, okay, let's lock that in for next week's stream. I think that's a nice, easy... I mean, Y Cruncher is never easy, but it's a nice, easy thing to do. Weird hang on AA again. Oh, going to OS. But then afterwards, yeah, let's see. I'd like to DOA. Yeah, I think their quality control is probably not amazing. It'll be interesting to see how things go now that they're like a dead manufacturer, right? Has anything else come out about Vince leaving and all that during the dark of night kind of thing? 815. Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's so harsh. A 23.236 fail when Bulan score is a 23.177. Okay, dokes. I think it's just a rerun. Okay, pass. How much of an improvement is that even? 100 milliseconds. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay, so now let's go to this hidden setting. Why not just make it a number of pixels of 50% of screen height? Fuck. So dumb. So fucking dumb. Everything about it. So fucking dumb. So real time did seem to help a bit. Let's just click chicken clock it. Maybe we can get squeeze 25 megahertz out of it. May as well try. While we're here, let's do it. It's a pass. Wow, it failed on the last iteration. Cruel. Okay, let's just give it a quick whirl through through the perf biases. By the way, the HWBot change that I really like is this the fact that all Ryzen and GTX 4090 front page. You don't see that every day. Here, not in the screenshot, but I thought people got to specify whether or not P cores and E cores are enabled and what clock they were, but maybe not on every sub. Let's just go. Let's go. Zen states. I mean, it's pretty cool. It probably should have been there at the launch of P core, E core, but you know, you can't just always get everything you want. Perf bias. I'm gonna try SuperPi first. Seems slower. Seems visibly slower. I was in the 0.81x pretty consistently recently. And it's a failed run as well. Add insult to injury. What do you think, guys, about the other face cam orientation? I'm starting to like it's growing on me. It's growing on me somehow. I don't know how or why, but okay, let's try the geek. Let's relaunch the bench just in case that's required to apply the perf bias. We had A2-3, now we have A2 flat. I'm not impressed. Whoa. The main thing these perf biases are doing is just like screwing the system. But let's go through all of them. I pretty much slapped that together. I mean, previously, like, I have my face cam on an arm, so I had like consistency as to where the face cam was placed since I moved to this house actually. But because I replaced my monitors, I had to reposition the arm, so I'll probably still tweak it, but it's okay. I'm getting to like it. So, but next stream I want to run an extra camera. I have like 5 cameras. There's no reason not to run at least 3 of them. I'm only running 2 today. Come on, Zen States. Okay. Pi was really bad. Geekbench was okay. Let's try Cinebench. Oh, what about Cinebench 2024? That's interesting, isn't it? Like, it's got a GPU section. I'm not thrilled about the fact that we're once again stuck rendering a sofa, just like in 2020. Okay, that's still flat. If you're not a regular viewer, I mean, it just depends on what you're into, but I do save all my VODs as well on initially on actually the night of the stream I will upload typically to YouTube. So YouTube as well as Twitch itself. Okay, next Zen States tweak. If it didn't take so long to launch, I'd be a bigger fan of this tool. It's actually the last one, unless we want to try none, which in some benches none is actually faster, believe it or not. Go now. Yeah, it's just not happening. I'm gonna try one thing. I'm gonna go down to like 5G and see if Y Cruncher is happy. I don't imagine it is, but it would just be interesting to see if I could. I mean, I'd probably have to sit here for a very long time, but I feel like at some set of timings, 8,000 through Y Cruncher isn't totally out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. Yeah, just there to fail GP, but ooh, we got to 15, we got to 20. Could this be an 8,000 pass first try? Okay, guys. It's been fun. It really has been. Thanks for coming on the stream. My usual slot previously was Tuesday nights my time, so like early on a Tuesday European hours. I guess Monday night US time. I'll see if I keep that up. Let's see. But next week, 18 core globals. Looking forward to it already. Thanks for watching.